Welcome back to GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Thursday, February 27th. If you are just tuning in, we just finished going over a little bit of Abdul Carter, the potential number one overall pick that now might require surgery on his foot and how that might affect his draft capital. In this segment, we turn our attention over to the Rules Committee in the NFL. The NFL has a couple policies. They vote on them every single year. There's a couple of them that stand out as rule changes that could be made this offseason. We'll talk about what they are, if they will be made, and whether or not they are good for the sport. But before we do that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Thursday, February 27th. But like I was saying, we are going to get into a little bit about the rules changes, the competition committee. There's a couple of big ones here, and I want to start out with one that I've been trying to push for a while. No pun intended on it, but the Tush push, The Tush push is something that they've been trying to ban for at least the last 3 years, right? You have, in this case, the Green Bay Packers are the ones that are pushing the ban this time. The Packers proposed it. I mean, look, this is obviously a conversation to be had, but a lot of the ideas for why they want to ban it, and the reason that the Packers have said it, is because it's not a skillful play. It's an automatic 1 yard. That's what they're saying when you're in those short yardage situations, but it's not, though, right? And we've talked about this. We've had these conversations before. First of all, a lot of people want to bring in the injury side of things, right? And the one thing that you need to pay attention to that is they did a study with the Tush push for last season, and they found that not a single player, 0 players all season long, were injured in the Tush push play. So it's actually a very safe play, right? This is a play that, look, if the Packers say it doesn't take any skill, if the Packers say it's an automatic first down every time, they should be doing it. Every team in the NFL should be doing it. But the thing about this play is that it simply isn't. It simply isn't a skill-less play. It's a play that takes a special set of players to have, right? It takes, most importantly, a uniquely built quarterback for it to work as good as it does. You can't run this play with Matthew Stafford, right? You can't run the Tush push, at least as effectively as the Eagles do it, with Brock Purdy. Right? You can't run the Tush push with Aiden O'Connell, with Tua Tagovailoa. You can't run the Tush push with Patrick Mahomes. These guys aren't built to be able to run this play. At the end of the day, what makes this play as successful as it is for the Eagles is the unique set of players that they have on the offensive line, and more importantly, at quarterback. The subset of players that have the ability to do this play are Jalen Hurts, a guy that can squat nearly 700 pounds, right? That is a rare kind of athlete, a rare kind of lower body strength, and that's what it's going to take. Or a Josh Allen that is just a monster, and even they don't really do the Tush push. They just have Josh Allen run at. I think if they did that play, that Josh Allen would be just as effective, if not more effective, than Jalen Hurts is, right? You need a big, strong quarterback to be able to run this play. And that isn't a box that a lot of these quarterbacks around the league check off. Jordan Love isn't a quarterback that you can do this with, right? And that's really what it comes down to. What it comes down to is the fact of the matter that the teams that are proposing the ban of the Tush push, the teams that are saying, I support the ban of the Tush push, are just mad that they can't stop it. Sometimes there are things you can't do. Look, sometimes if you don't want to let them get that first down, you have to stop them from being 1 yard away. It's a risk. We've seen the tush push get stopped on a number of occasions, right? It's still about 90% successful, but so was Tom Brady on his normal QB sneaks, and you didn't see anybody trying to ban that. And that's because everybody could do a QB sneak. The difference is not everybody can do this tush push. Again, not everybody has that unique quarterback. Not everybody has a massive offensive line that averages over 360 pounds and over 6'7", right? That is a behemothly sized offensive line. Most people, most teams don't have the ability to do that. And to the point that it's not a skillful play, again, it absolutely is. It's a tough to stop play, and I understand why teams are mad about it. I do. I really do understand why teams are mad about it, because if you're a team like the Washington Commanders that had to deal with it in the playoffs, we saw Luvu jump over the line a couple times, didn't work. The refs threatened to let them to automatically award them a touchdown because he kept jumping off sides. You have to get creative in ways to stop this. But we've seen it be stopped before. We have. It's a tough play to stop, but it's doable, and it's not something the Eagles are going to be able to do forever. As their players get older, as Jalen Hurts gets older, these are things that they're not going to be able to do 10 years from now. So to sit here and say this is a play that needs to be banned, on what merits? First of all, no injuries. 0 injuries last season based on the tush push. That's not a valid reason then, right? If it was, I'm all for banning it. I want this sport to be healthy. I want this sport to be safe for everyone to play, right? But if it isn't hurting anybody, there's no reason to take it away. They used to have a rule to stop pushing downfield. They've gotten rid of that, and that's part of the Packers' argument. But who really cares if they push downfield a little bit, right? Who cares if you get into a little bit of a rugby scrum? Who really cares about that, other than the defense that thinks it's unfair, which it isn't, because if you get a big guy, if you get a couple big guys that can get push against that offensive line, maybe then you can stop the tush push and push back on your own. That's a rule out there that's potentially going to be put in through the competition committee. I hope and I pray that it does not, because I think that would be kind of soft, honestly. And football, for as many things as it is, it's not a soft sport. So banning that play, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make any sense. The other big rule change, of course, comes from a Bills-Chiefs game, and it even comes with a sort of tush push of their own, right? The Chiefs stopped the tush push of Josh Allen to turn it over on 4th down, right? It wasn't really a tush push. It was just a QB sneak, but still, now they're looking at adding a chip to the football to track first downs, track the position of the ball, and this is a long time coming. This is something that I think they're going to have to get good at determining, because depending on where the chip is, it could be a little bit off. So they're still going to have the chain gang on the sidelines to be kind of like a backup for this measuring system that they're going to be having at this point in the NFL. This is a rule that I can fully support. The people that are pointing out rules only get changed when the Bills lose against the Chiefs, well, sometimes it takes a kick in the butt to make a good rule finally go through. And both of those, the overtime rule changing in the playoffs and this rule finally being implemented, these are rules that people have been asking for a while, and we saw one happen on the biggest stage, a big controversy, so now the NFL can react. The NFL, not really a proactive league, definitely a lot more of a reactionary league than anything. That's just kind of how it goes. It's a coincidence, not really a full coincidence, because these two teams in the biggest spotlight, that's when the NFL is going to be like, oops, we need to change this when there's a big game between these two teams. Just happens that they've both been good for a long time, and you've had two pretty good games come down to some controversy at the end there. So the people saying that it's rigged for the Bills or for the Chiefs, whatever you want to say, it's just a coincidence there at that point. But overall, I love that first down rule. This is something that all sports need to start to integrate. As computers and technology gets better, you can't be scared. You can't run from them. You can't sit there and be like, we always did it like this. This is the issue with baseball, right? Baseball and their old heads are always so resistant to change. They've done a good job recently, honestly, as much as I don't like the commissioner of baseball because he doesn't do a lot of things right. But what he's been able to do to modernize this game, the pitch clock was an excellent addition. Uh, Honestly, as much as it doesn't really make a big difference, and I kind of enjoyed seeing pitchers hit, adding the DH in the NL probably a change that's good for the future of baseball, right? And then the other one, they're adding now a automatic strike zone. You can challenge it. They still have the umpires calling balls and strikes, but they're adding that automatic ball strike system that if you want to challenge it a couple times per game, you can go ahead and do that. So I like the changes that they're making, right? And you can't get left behind. You can't get left behind because as technology develops, it's going to make your life easier. And there's no reason to say tradition this, tradition that. Just move on, upgrade, and you can make the sport better for everybody. Both safety, fun, and just so it's more fair and less controversies come about it. Either way, it's always good when technology like this ball tracking technology, putting the chip in the ball, is not going to throw off the weight so much that a quarterback can't throw a spiral anymore. There's no reason not to put it in. And it's about time that the NFL made a change to keep up with the times and get this ball tracking technology to track first downs. But let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think of these two rules? Do you think they should both be passed? Do you think they're good for the game? I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we continue our series of dream off seasons. Today, we take a stop down in the desert with the Arizona Cardinals. What would a dream off season look like for Kyler Murray, Jonathan Gannon, and the Arizona Cardinals? We'll be right back with that here on GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast.